Hi guys, welcome back to the Fermented World. Today we are brewing a beer kit which is called For Hopmen of the Apocalypse. It is by Totally Brewed Brewery. This is a clone that they allowed BREWDAY Supplies to do. I'm really excited for this one because I do absolutely love this beer. It's one of their signature IPAs. It's bloody gorgeous. We've got hop packets labelled up. We've got instructions here. We're just heating some strike water to 65 degrees before we mash in. So we'll be back shortly to mash in the grain. Got the bag over there which is sorted, doing its thing, and everything's sanitized. We're ready to go. I've already put some Campden tablets in there to treat the water. Totally Brewed actually use their own blend of yeast for this. I'm not sure whether they use the same yeast for all of their beers, but this one they've got like a house blend. We've got Aurora hops, we've got Brewer's Gold, we've got Cascade, and we've got one of my favourites, which is Centennial. In the grain bill, we've got Euro Pills, Morris Otter, Cara Gold Malt, and Wheat Malt. And I'm going to be using finings towards the end of the fermentation. And like I say, following these instructions, which are really good. At 60 minutes to the end of the boil, which means as the boil starts, you add the first packet of hops. Then it tells you 10 minutes towards the end of the boil, you add hop 2 and the Proctor Flock tablet, which is finings. So actually, I probably won't need finings in the end beer, to be fair, because it's already got some in it. And then at 0 minutes, when the boil's finished, you add the third packet of hops. 4 days later, you will add the dry hops, which is a massive bag of hops. I won't tell you the quantity, but it's big. Reason why I'm not telling you the quantity is because if you want to be able to brew this beer like me, you can go to the website and pay your money so you can have the thing. Once you've got it, you've got the recipe, you know how to brew it, you can then replicate it. Same as all of the beers that they have there. They always give you a nice clear instruction sheet, and yeah, you just brew it again and again and again, again and again and again. You just buy the flipping Euro Pills, the Morris Otter, and the rest of the grain bill, and yeah, jobs are good. Right, so we'll be back when this is sorted. Righty dokey, we are at the 70 now. It does say 65, but you always need your strike water a little bit higher, or your mash water, whatever you want to call it. We take the bag, put the bag in the water, and we let the bag droop over the sides because it's way too big. But why would you buy another bag when you've already got a bag? Try and make it not touch the sides if you can. Don't want it to melt. We get our little clamps and we clamp it down. We'll adjust it in a second, but for now we just clamp it down on the reinforced bits. Be careful because the water's hot. Right then, so now we're going to prod about and just try and even the bag out so that we've got not a lot of extra bag in there. Now we come to add the grain. And do you know what I didn't do? I didn't sterilise my paddle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sterilise this quickly, and I'm going to use the plastic one for now, which will be fine. It's been sterilised. It's just not as robust. So we need to snip open the thing here at the corner. You may have seen a bit of tape there. That was because there was a tiny tear in the bag when I received it. So just to make sure that we were good, I just put a bit of tape on it. So, not sure what that is. Alright. So yeah, we're going to add the grain. Nice and slow, constantly mixing as it goes in. This is a brew in the bag method. So once we've added this grain, we will literally mix it all in, and we're going to let it sit for an hour. Possibly add more water. I'm going to let this sit for an hour. Probably reheat it again halfway through, but it gives us half an hour to get some other stuff done while this is doing its thing. The reason why we continuously stir is so that we can mix it in properly, so that we don't get any massive clumps and stuff. Readjust the bag. I can feel this spoon wobbling under the strength of the grain power. There we go. That's your lot. That's all the grain in. Dogs come to say hello. We're going to make sure that that's all very well mixed in. Like so. Right, I think that's sufficiently mixed in. I think we're good. So, I shall pop that on there, out of the way. I'm going to take these clips off, throw them in the sanitizing water, ready for next time, and simply put a lid on top. That's that. We will leave that now for 30 minutes and then check it again. After 30 minutes, if it needs a little bit more heat to bring it back up, we'll bring it back up to the heat, because it needs the specific heat to be able to convert the starches into sugars, which is what we're then going to ferment. So we're back in 30 minutes to check on it. Okay, so we're back, half an hour's up. Let us see what we have got. I'm going to take a temperature reading, and if we need to, we're going to heat this sucker back up. Let's give it a stir, just to see that we're getting an accurate reading. Because we want an accurate reading, do we not? Needs to be about the 65 mark, or as near as damn it. So we're pushing 22. .3. Yeah, We'll heat it ever so slightly for a short period of time, just to bring it back up, but we're going to do it on a low heat, simply because we don't want to tarnish the grain that's resting on the bottom. So we're going to pop that on a medium heat. I'm going to remove the lid actually, and that around there. I don't want it to touch the heat, but I also want to be able to get into it to be able to stir it as it heats. Or like I say, we risk having a bit of an issue with the grain at the bottom becoming charred. Now if we were doing a stout, it wouldn't really matter so much, but we're not. We're doing an IPA, so we want it to be nice and crisp. Lift it out slightly, it might actually help it, because then it can heat the liquid at the bottom, the wort, without touching the grain. Bada boom, bada bing. Why didn't I think of that beforehand? Right, let's let it submerge again. Turn the heat off so we're not going to catch fire. Grain back in there. If it's not in there, it's not extracted. Which is probably why I shouldn't have lifted the bag out. Give it a quick stir. Righty ho, and let's take another measurement of the temperature. (61, 62, 63, 63. It'll be all right. So let's close it back off, and we'll leave it for another half an hour so that it's done its thing, getting them lovely sugars out, malty sugars. And in true fashion of a brew day, I'm going to walk the dog in between. Wookie! Hey, it's a brewers! Right, so we are back from the dog walk, but unfortunately I was out, so I couldn't turn the sparge water on. So I've got 4 litres of sparge water heating up now. We're going to heat that up to 76 degrees, and then we're going to sparge. What sparging is we're basically rinsing through the grain to get the last bits of sugar, as well as adding water to the overall wort. Shouldn't be taking that long for it to heat up, to be fair. It's quite a good pan. Got a good base on it. It should heat up quite quickly. This pan is really cheap. Now I may very well invest in a better one, because a better one's going to retain heat better. We're at 52 at the moment, so yeah, got a little bit to go. Get it up to 70, and we'll be back once it's ready. We're now about 80 degrees, so I'm going to have to add a little bit more water to try and cool it down. It won't matter too much. We'll just leave a little bit in the bottom of the jobby, the pan. Well, that gave us 77, so that was close enough for me. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a part of it called sparging. We're going to lift this grain out. We're going to let it drain out ever so slightly. Take this lid off because we don't need that anymore. That can actually go over here. Completely out of the way. Close that door to keep heating because I've got brews over there, which I'll be adding this one too. So we're going to get the bag. We're going to lift the bag out like so. We're going to put this bit of mesh underneath it so that we don't need to hold the bag any longer. I'm going to tie a knot in the bag. Not too tight, just enough to hold it for now. And we're going to let that drain off for a little bit, and that will cool down ever so slightly while it does so. It's not really straight. There we go. I'm going to try and make sure it's all over the pot. Oh, we may lose some. We don't want to lose any of this wonderful liquid, which is still trying to escape. Need the knot to be a bit tighter, methinks. I underestimated how far down I needed the knot. Be careful, because this stuff is hot, obviously. Not perfected a method for this yet, but trying is the first step to success. I think that's a bit better. It all seems to be over it now. Okay, so let's move our fermenting vessel out of the way. I'm going to move this over. So this is the part we sparge. We're going to slowly let water flow through the grain, making sure it's as evenly spread around as possible, and this will make up our pre-boil wort amount. It's not the most sophisticated way of doing it, but it works, and that's what matters. You can get like special containers that you sparge water with, and things that like sprinkle it on. I don't have any of that. I was thinking about like using a watering can of some sort, obviously sterilised and used specifically just for brewing, because that would actually work a bit better than this cowboy method that I'm using. But as slow as possible. And this rinses out the last bits of the sugar. Yeah, I think it will be good. And the last bit, because we're going to lose some when we boil off anyway. So there we are. That is the sparge, almost complete. I say almost because there's still one more thing to do, which is let this drain out, because all the sugars that we've just rinsed through, we now want to make sure we get all of. And twist the bag and it kind of contorts it. Squeeze out a bit. Ouch. Whee! And it's still coming out, so I'm going to let that stand for a minute or two, and I shall prepare for the boil. Right, that's dripped off enough. Got a bit of scragglers, so what I do is I put it in here, sort of sideways. I'll try and show you as I do it. Sort of sideways and long ways to try and fit it in like that. And then I'll leave it, and whatever drips out, I've had. So now this is going to boil for 1 hour, so we need to get it up to boiling point. Once we've got it up to boiling point, we will add the hops. So we'll be back when it's boiling. So we've just reached the boiling point. Now this is extremely full, so we've got to be very careful. So at this point, we're going to add the hop packet labelled Hop 1, which goes in at the 60-minute mark, which is the Aurora hops. Again, I'm not going to tell you how much. If you want to know how much, you can buy the kit from BREWDAY Supplies. I don't work for them. I don't get any, what's the word? I don't get any money from them for saying this. I just don't want to share it with you. If it was my recipe, I would. But it's not. So I'm not. And that's just the way it is. So in goes the hops. Make sure we got it all. And I keep the little packets so I know what it is that I put in and when. Give that a little mix around. Oh, that's nice. Very good, very nice. And then that goes in at the first part. Then we put hop number 2 in at when there's 10 minutes left of the boil. So we do a 50-minute countdown. And that will give us the 10-minute marker to add the Brewer's Gold and the next edition of Aurora. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And then we put the Procto Flack in as well. So, wow, that came out of flipping. Gordon Bennett. So yeah, now we add the Procto Flack. Is it Procto Flack? Procto Flock? We add that into there. Wash. And then we add the other hops, which is Brewer's Gold and Aurora. Give that a little mix. Oh, that's bursting with hoppiness. I love it. Absolutely love it. And then we give that, ooh, splashing everywhere. Crikey, that might be. It's roaring. Right, so we give that 10 minutes. And then calm yourself. Might be because I made the whirlpool. We give that 10 minutes. We then shut it off. We add the last bag of hops, and then we cool the wort, whatever. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. Back in 10 minutes. Righty ho, so that is the 1 hour boil complete. Now we add hop packet 3, which has got Brewer's Gold in. And then it says to chill it to about 20 degrees. But we're going to do it to 22 because that's the temperature that I ferment at. And in goes that hops. It's a peculiar one. And let's just give that a little bit of a mix. What I want to do now though is, while we've got a bit of time, is I want to make sure that I've got the amount that I require. I require 11.5 litres, which is in between that one and that one. So we're going to tip it in there to see whether we need to boil it for longer, because we won't know until we've tipped it into there. So let's do it. Let's speed this bit up actually. Right, so we've got more than we bargained for, which means we're going to have too much, so it needs to go on the boil again for longer. How long? I could not tell you, but I do know that it needs to go on. And this is hot, so how the hell am I going to do this? With great difficulty. There we go. Wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But yeah, definitely way too much. We need to boil off probably about another half a litre. So probably give it half an hour and come back, see what we got. So yeah, having to reboil this is actually going to change the way the beer is going to taste, because I'm now boiling the hops that should have sat in there without a boil. But I don't have any option because I need to bring it down to the amount that it's supposed to be. It's got another 20 minutes, and I just thought while I'm still here, it's obviously going to cause a bit of a problem. It won't make it nasty, but it won't be as good as the original, which I'm a bit annoyed about because I paid me money to do it and then I've had to balls it up, because I think what I did is I should have only used 3 litres of the sparge water, because the 1 hour boil rate just isn't enough to get rid of the amount that I needed it to get rid of. But you live and learn, and this is only my 4th all grain brew, so yeah, you know, it is what it is. Just knock that down a bit so it's not going to come over, but yeah, we'll be back in 20 minutes. Okay, so that is the time for the boil, to see if we've got the right boil off rate. Hopefully so this time. If it's close enough, I may just say sod it, because I really don't have time to be messing around with it really. So let's speed this bit up. Okay, so we're near as damn it. That is as close as I need it to be. I'm going to add a little bit of brewing sugar. Probably about 100 grams, I reckon. Just to try and bolster the what do you call it? The ABV. I don't want to add too much because you can always add but you can't take away. And I think 100 grams in that size of batch isn't going to do a great deal, but it might give us what we need. Should have put it in beforehand, but like I say, I'm not bothered at all. It's just simple sugars that are going to get fermented. Let's give that a whirl, and then we're going to cool this down using a immersion cooler, which I'm going to set up and I'll show you in a second. Okay, so immersion cooler runs cold water through a hose pipe into this coil and then into the sink. Cold water goes round and round and round and round and round, which chills our wort. Really, really simple, very, very, very effective. So this will take about 10 to 15 minutes. Once it's finally finished, we will pitch the yeast into the fermenting bucket and jobs are good. The brew day is done. So yeah, simple as that really. Not really much else to say. Apart from we've just got to keep swirling this around, and the more movement you give it, the more chance it's got of cooling down. It does take a while though. Need it down to about 22 degrees, which is my pitching temperature. So yeah, we'll be back once it's at 22 degrees. Right, so that's it, finally cooled down. Now we're going to tip this through the hop spider, and that'll collect all the debris, the hop debris, and then we're going to pitch the yeast. So the trick is to try and get as much of it into the hop spider as possible. You do get a bit going over the edge, but it just can't be helped. It is what it is. Sometimes you have to give it a bit of a nudge. Sometimes the hops actually blocks the mesh, because the mesh is so fine, it just blocks it. I do apologise that you can see my shirt lifted. It was not my intention. Get it all in. Oh, just shy of it. And again, we will get a bit of it missed, you know. And you lose a bit to the hops anyway. Not a lot. For some reason it's now saying it's at 10. And it shouldn't have been at 10. Because when I tipped it in there, it said 11 and a half. couldn't have lost that much just from the hops. Well, at least I don't think you could. And that's it. As near as damn at 11. Weird. Very weird. Because when I tipped it into there, it said over 11.5. So I'm going to stand here and let this drip off for a bit because I don't want to waste any. And then we will wander over there and pitch the yeast. Okay, so the final bit of the puzzle is to take a hydrometer reading and pitch the yeast. So I am just shy of what I should have got, and because I thought I had 12 litres, I added flipping sugar to it. So not only did I boil the final hops that weren't supposed to be boiled too long, I actually added brewing sugar when I didn't need to. But we're going to see what it all amounts to and what we've got. What the potential ABV could be. I mean, it's a nice colour already and it's not even flipping done. So quick hydrometer reading. Let me double check what it was supposed to be. Supposed to be 1.049, and we have disappointingly 1.04. So I'm going to add another 100 grams of brewing sugar. And I'm going to see what that gets us, because I don't want it to be anything lower than what it's supposed to be. And we'll mix that in. We'll see what happens. I mean, I should have put it in beforehand. Right, I'm going to use the plastic spoon for this because the metal one's a bit too gnarly for this. It might damage the plastic. So we're going to mix that in. We need to put oxygen in this anyway. I might as well go back here. Because it's going to go in. And if needs be, I'll put more brewing sugar in, not bothered at all. I want it to be roughly the ABV that it's supposed to be. For the style as well, because it's an IPA. I want it to be as close as possible, you know? Really, really do. Because if you're trying to mimic somebody's beer, you want it to be as close as possible when and try and get them to taste it. I think we're on it. There's a couple of bubbles in the way and I can't see. 42, 4, 6, 8. It's in between that. Bang on. Perfect. 49. Start gravity. Let's go. We got there in the end. Us noobs, eh? So now we're going to pitch their yeast, which it says is their own blend of yeast, which obviously gives it a unique taste. So picture that. Pitch this yeast. Sprinkle it in. And then give it a mix. It says 4 days. Check the hydrometer and see whether we can put in the dry hops. Now 4 days, I don't think that's a great deal of time for the yeast to have consumed that amount. But this is a smaller batch than I normally would do when I was using the kits, so it could very well be. There we go. We have finally done it. The lid's going on. We'll get this labelled as to what it is with the date and the original gravity, which was bang on after I'd added a ton of sugar. So I might look into buying a mill and just re-mill the the grain again, just to try and get that last bit out of it, because if it's not cracked open it can't be extracted. And there we go, brew day done. Only took 5 hours. Thanks for watching and I'll see you again soon.